Welcome to our explainer on the brain's hidden mechanics. Look, if you've ever felt like your mind is just working against you, I want to start by telling you something absolutely crucial. Your brain isn't broken, and you certainly aren't lazy. What's actually happening is that your mind is simply running on an unoptimized default mode. Think of it like a supercomputer that was just never given a proper operating manual. Well, today, we're going to build that manual. We're going to look at exactly how you can actively reprogram your brain for better focus, higher intelligence, and consistent happiness, using nothing but science-backed micro-habits.
So why does your brain always feel so loud, distracted, and honestly, just tired? I know so many of us feel this sheer exhaustion from constant mental noise. You see, every single day, your brain is either getting stronger or it's getting weaker. It's really not about being born a genius. It's about the fact that everyday micro-habits, like endless scrolling, constant multitasking, or trying to survive on 4 hours of sleep, are slowly killing your IQ and draining your mental battery. But the flip side is totally true as well. By just tweaking these small inputs, we can literally rewire our minds for success.
Okay, let's dive into this. When you're under stress, your brain automatically wants to revert to its default mode. And this is where we're reactive, endlessly scrolling, and super prone to anxiety. But our ultimate goal is to shift over to control mode. This state is structured, intentional, and most importantly, calm. You see, happiness and focus aren't just magical feelings that happen to fall into your lap. They're the direct result of staying in control mode even when everything around you is pure chaos. To make this shift, we really need to understand how our brain systems actually work.
Let's kick things off with Chapter 1, the intelligence and focus system.
We've got to completely reframe what high intelligence and deep focus actually look like in everyday practice, mainly because we tend to misunderstand our own brain's quirks. For instance, we think overthinking is a weakness, right? But in reality, a high-functioning default mode network is just running constant simulations. Highly intelligent people simply structure that energy into directed thinking. They ask things like, okay, what are my top 2 outcomes right now? And take talking to yourself. It's not a sign you're losing it, and you definitely don't need to be embarrassed if someone catches you doing it. It's a real concept called externalized cognition. It actually forces your messy, silent thoughts into structured, clear language. And finally, needing to be alone isn't being antisocial at all. It's intentional solitude to reduce mental noise. These aren't flaws. They're raw traits of a highly powerful brain that just need a bit of boundaries.
And speaking of boundaries, we absolutely have to talk about the Zeigarnik effect. This is the wild psychological reality that your brain remembers unfinished tasks far more strongly than completed ones. Think of these open mental loops exactly like background apps running on your phone, just quietly draining your battery all day long. No wonder you feel overwhelmed. The secret hack here is that starting even a tiny micro step tells your brain that the loop is finally being addressed, which dramatically and almost instantly lowers your mental tension.
This perfectly brings us to your attention span. Your brain works exactly like a spotlight on a dark stage. It can literally only illuminate one single actor at a time. So every time you multitask, you're violently jerking that spotlight around, which just exhausts your brain. But we can harness something called the cocktail party effect. Imagine being in a really loud, crowded room, but the exact second someone says your name, you hear it instantly, right? Your brain automatically highlights information tied to your identity. So if you want to focus and learn deeply, tie the information to something personal in your own life. Make it about you, and your brain simply won't let it go.
So how do we actually put this into practice today? Well, here are 3 rapid-fire tactics to protect that spotlight. First up, the 25-minute Pomodoro. Lock your spotlight onto one single task for 25 minutes, no switching, period. Second, the clearing ritual. Clear your desk, take your phone, and literally put it in another room. You have to physically signal to your brain that this is the only thing that matters right now. And third, break tasks down into micro steps. Don't sit there and say, ugh, I need to write a massive report. Just say, I'm going to write one single sentence. Close those loops and protect your energy. All right, now that we've optimized our focus, we really need to stabilize our mood.
Moving right along to Chapter 2, the emotional baseline system.
We usually think of happiness as this elusive, fleeting emotion, right? But true, consistent happiness is actually an identity-based discipline. The real secret to emotional stability is this: lower the baseline, don't chase the peak. Most of us are out here chasing extreme highs, constant entertainment, massive thrills, and then we wonder why we crash so incredibly hard afterwards. Real emotional control, however, comes from maintaining a predictable, calm baseline. Truly happy people don't rely on constant, endless stimulation. A stable brain equals a predictable, manageable mood.
Here is exactly how you take control of that baseline. First, delay your morning input for just 10 minutes. Seriously, stop letting the absolute chaos of social media dictate your emotional starting point for the day. Second, move your body for just 2 minutes. Motion creates emotion. Your brain literally reads your slouch posture as low energy. Third, try using a 5-second reaction gap. Before you snap back in an argument, just wait 5 seconds. Let your rational prefrontal cortex take the wheel for a moment. And finally, give yourself 5 to 10 minutes of complete, uninterrupted daily silence to reset your mental noise. Those daytime habits are absolute game changers. But you know what? An amazing day actually starts the night before.
Which brings us to Chapter 3, the ultimate sleep protocol.
If you wake up feeling tired and anxious, it's very likely because your cortisol, that's your alertness hormone, never fully powered down. We need to send biological safety signals to quiet your mind. To power down properly, we have to understand the hypnagogic state. This is that brief, floating threshold right between being awake and falling asleep. In this highly specific window, your conscious mind steps back and your subconscious becomes incredibly open and suggestible. Whatever you are thinking about right in this moment is exactly what your brain will emotionally consolidate and amplify for the next 8 hours. And this brilliantly illustrates how we can actually hijack this state with a simple 4-step countdown. First, implement a strict 90-minute phone cutoff. Yes, blue light suppresses melatonin, but more importantly, scrolling through a stranger's drama on social media like a toddler refusing to go to bed, yeah, that completely overrides your emotional recovery. Second, drop your core body temp by cooling your hands and feet. This physically triggers deep sleep. Third, right as you enter that hypnagogic state, do a 10-second gratitude imprint. Just think of one specific, positive moment from your day. Finally, deliver a morning intention script. Literally tell your brain out loud, tomorrow I wake up feeling rested, clear, and ready.
But get this, the absolute most crucial step happens the exact moment you wake up. 10 seconds. To lock in all that incredible sleep protocol from the night before, you need to step outside into natural morning light for exactly 10 seconds before you even look at a screen. This anchors what's called your cortisol awakening response. It basically tells your master biological clock that the day has officially begun, locking in your emotional stability and your energy for the hours ahead. Okay, so we've covered focus, emotion, and sleep. Now let's tie this entire user manual together.
All right, Chapter 4, Rewiring Through Intentional Repetition.
This right here is the ultimate mechanism that dictates whether your brain actually adopts these new habits or just rejects them. Neuroplasticity. Your brain is essentially a giant pattern matching machine. It physically rewires its neural pathways based on what you repeatedly do and think. Think of it like walking a path through a really dense forest. The very first time, it's incredibly difficult, right? You're pushing branches out of the way. But if you walk that exact same path every single day, it eventually becomes a wide, clear, automatic road. Your thoughts work the exact same way.
Listen to this, because it's absolutely crucial. Your brain cannot tell the difference between truth and repetition. If you constantly repeat thoughts of anxiety, fear, and inadequacy, your brain will efficiently carve a deep superhighway for fear. But on the flip side, you have the profound power to actively choose to wire your mind for truth, calmness, and strength instead.
So here is a highly effective way to do just that, the 5-minute vocalization technique. Take a positive grounding phrase. Maybe it's a meaningful quote, a personal truth, or a piece of scripture, and speak it slowly, out loud, for 5 minutes a day. Why out loud, you ask? Because speaking actively engages your auditory cortex, your speech centers, and your emotional systems all at the exact same time. This multi-network activation actively calms down your amygdala, which is the stress-sensing part of your brain. You are literally pulling the weeds and paving a brand new, calm pathway in that forest.
Which leaves us with one final, pretty massive question. What are you training your brain to do today? Because whether you realize it or not, every single scroll, every passing thought, and every reaction is actively shaping your intelligence and your happiness. Your brain is not fixed. It is literally sitting there waiting for your instructions. So I challenge you to pick just one single micro habit from our explainer today and take back the controls. I absolutely can't wait to see how you rewire your mind.